Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the ANZCAR Cup here on Performance e-streaming and, of course, the ANZCAR Facebook page. We are here tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire, of course. Tonight, we are in the booth. Is me, Carl Wilkinson, with me, back for a little bit of time. It's been a while. It's nice to be back up here. I'm joined up here by Mr. Matt Hunter. Matt, how are you going?
Yeah, I'm doing good tonight, Carl. It's good to have you back in. Good to have you back in the booth.
Luckily, the seat was nice and warm when I got here, so that was something. That's always nice to have. Um, Looking forward to a cracking race here tonight. Of course, it's been an absolute full-on season, and last week just shook things up a little bit more as well up the top. We saw championship-wise with the final decision with Dyson losing out after mistake with his number, and Pearson, of course, taking the victory. Brenton Hobson's moved ahead in the championship lead, as we saw before the race started. 36 points in the lead now for Hobson. That's going to be really good news for him, and he's going to be excited coming to a short track like New Hampshire tonight.
Yeah, good chance for the guys who are very strong on road courses. Obviously, basically, it's just two hairpins, isn't it? Really, these sort of short tracks.
Yeah, it's a very, very small circuit, just a tad over 1 mile in length, of course. It's a track that is very easy to make mistakes on, as you saw just in the background. I think that was Mirko Dortnak having a big ouchie and losing the front end of his Camry. It's a track that will punish you as well. The track is mainly asphalt, but there is some sort of granite sections on the corners to try and help the cars with the traction. Because they go through those corners and they've got so much power, of course. We're full power tonight. Of course, all of those horses unleashed under the bonnet tonight for these cars. So they are going to be going absolutely wild. And you've got to be really careful with that right foot, getting the foot down on the accelerator pedal just to get the car out of the corner, not spin up those tyres too much, and not lose too much traction. The big thing tonight is going to be overheating of the tyres. That's something people are going to have to watch out for. The track temperature at the moment is
45 degrees, which is pretty warm.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. It's very warm, and that's going to really hurt people because it's the tires get very hot here already, and on a track that's 45 degrees Celsius, it's going to make it even worse. And we're joined up in the booth by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Yourself?
Oh, best not say on air. We were just saying about the temperature here tonight, Mark. Obviously, 45-degree track temperature. New Hampshire rear tyres are going to be blistering.
Yeah, mate. We ran around here the other night in the Wheelands, and yeah, the rear tyres went off really quick in those things. And these things have got a lot more horsepower, so I would imagine that they will go off very quickly.
Yeah, it's going to be a really important thing to protect the rear temperature of the tyres tonight, and that's an easier thing said than done. Of course, the bigger wheels nowadays, of course, that does help a little bit. The lower profile tyres, they sort of don't tend to get as hot as quickly, but they still do overheat. And once they get to a temperature that's hot, it takes a long time for them to cool down. So we're just getting ready for the grid to be placed up. And on the front row, it is Andrew Dyson, just ahead of Brenton Hobson, the two championship contenders up at the front of the standings, duking it out on the front row. The rest of the grid looks like this. Second row is Foster and Douglas. Third row, we have Heddershide and Barry Neal. Fourth row is Neil Pearson and Michael Skurlock. Fifth row, we have Russell and Martin. Sixth row is Williams and Lobb. On the seventh row, we have Trahair and Malone. Down towards the eighth row now is Phelps with Mr. Micklemore. Ninth row is Mirko Dortnak with Brad Allison. On row 10, Matty Ray with Mr. Gary Wellman. Row 11, we have Nankervis and Clark. Watch out for those two. Tristan Koch on row 12, joined by Paul Jackson. And then finally, backing up the field is Mr. Noddy Tompkins. 26 cars starting here tonight. A few people, I think, missing tonight's race because, well, New Hampshire's not everybody's favourite track.
No, it's definitely not on my favourite list. I can tell you that.
It's no
And
Sonoma, is it, Mark?
no, no, too many right-hand turns of that joint.
No, it's going to be an absolute cracker. Looking forward to this one. Watch out for people like Foster and Heddershide. They're going to be pretty quick. Douglas absolutely could jump out of the park here tonight. Keep an eye towards the back, as I said, on Raymond. He could work his way nicely through the field here tonight. He's one of those drivers that can keep the car on a long stint. The people that can look after their tyres are going to be in the box seat tonight. So it's going to be a really exciting race here for round 19 of 36 as the pace car pulls in. Dyson gets ready to go as we get the green flag for round number 19 of the ANZCAR Cup, brought to you by 24/7 Sim Services, and Dyson gets a great start in the lead.
Yeah, Dyson's is clear there, although it looks like Foster's getting a good run on the inside there, having to just check up a little bit though.
Yeah, that low line working very well on the opening laps as we get somebody off in the background. Who's that having a big moment? It was Aiden Schultz having a huge moment out of the corner, just losing the back of the car. Luckily managed to catch it in time. Just caught the back, I think, of Josh Micklemore on the exit of the corner and managed to save it in the nick of time there. So lucky for him. Just got underneath the rear diffuser of Josh Micklemore, and it just spun the car out in these early stages as they are on cold tyres. That's one of the things, of course, is, you know, the track temperature is very, very hot, but these tyres do still take a lap or two just to get into an operating temperature.
Yeah, they normally take about 4 or 5 laps to come up to race temp, and then you'll see the rear end settle down, probably for about 15 laps, and then you'll probably see the car start to squirm around again, where the tyres start to go off.
Yeah, it's always the tricky thing. Is getting them into the right operational temperature is not an easy thing to do. And the trouble with a day like today, where it is so hot, and of course it's a track where you're applying the brakes very heavily as well. It is, you don't want to get the tyres into the too hot temperature range. You've got to be very careful of that. So you don't want to be scrubbing the tyres too much. So expect drivers to take a slightly higher line. You can see there Andrew Dyson absolutely doing that, taking that higher line through the corner, not taking the low apex of the corner, keeping more to the midsection of the track. Same with Foster, just behind him. They're all keeping slightly higher there. Foster tells take a little bit of a lower line, but then takes a bit of a wider exit. So trying to preserve a little bit of life in tyres and trying not to spin them up or scrub them too much to get too much heat into them early on.
See if we can jump back onto that start of the race and just see what happened there. So we just grab the replay.
Yeah, so
Aiden's already off there.
So yeah, just coming out of the corner, he just gets under the rear the rear spoiler of Micklemore, and I think he just gives a dab of the brakes or just turns a little bit hard. There's no contact that I can see, but it just looks like he just loses a little bit of front end as he gets behind him and just overcompensates a little bit, and the back end steps out. So I'm wondering if it was just a little bit of aero wash on the car, because these cars have got a little bit more aero dependency nowadays, and it just threw him off a little bit, especially in the opening lap of the race. But he managed to get back on track safely, luckily, got back into the race, and it's just ahead of Gary Wellman, who started in pit lane.
He's doing a pretty good job of catching up on the back of the pack as well. So he's catching up onto the back of Tristan there.
The problem there, though, Matt, is that he's got to not be careful not to overcook his tyres trying to catch the guys. Otherwise, you'll have nothing to work with once he catches the rear end of the field.
Indeed, yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's always a problem, isn't it? It's when to push and when not to push, and that can be very tricky indeed. Little bit of a love tap between Luke Trahair and Darren Lobb coming out of turn 4, just on lap 6 there. Those two getting close to each other, getting a bit racy in the mid-pack, and Lobb just taking a little bit less exit speed than Trahair, and it just caught Trahair off guard a little bit. No damage to either car, but Trahair, as you say, a big oversteer moment there for the 43 way down machine, and that's going to give Stevie Dub the opportunity to catch up to him. But yeah, this is
it's pretty hard getting off that turn 2 there. A lot of cars sort of kicking out sideways. From what I heard earlier, talking to some of the drivers, they mentioned the cars were a bit tight into the corner and a bit loose off the corner. So, yeah, flipping between them as they're in the corner.
It's never a fun feeling when you've got a car that changes midway through a corner, when it decides it likes to be tight in one section and then loose in another. As Neil Pearson looks to make a move on, is that Jaden Russell there?
Yep, that's right, Jaden the 28 there, and Neil's.
Oh, contact between the two there as Russell loses the rear end on the exit of the corner, manages to save the car enough and just gives Pearson the lightest of taps on the right rear there. Pearson did a great job of holding that car straight. Very close moment there.
Another good save from Pearson, 2 weeks in a row.
He's becoming the king of saves at the moment.
He is, yeah, indeed. Just jump back up to the front there. We can see Dyson has cleared out almost a second lead now from Foster.
Yeah, Dyson's sort of got some really good early pace. You've got to wonder though, is everybody else just running at a slightly lower pace just to try and preserve a little bit of tyre life, just try and get a little bit longer into the race, try and come back at him a little bit later on? Or is it just Dyson just knowing exactly the right time to push, and he's absolutely playing it right? At the moment, he is the fastest man on the track. Currently, the best lap is a 30.627. A good 1/10 of a second faster than anybody else that I can see. So he is absolutely flying out there. He's a good couple of tenths faster than Foster at the moment, and Hobson behind him. I'm just got to wonder if Hobson might be being held up a tiny bit by Foster, who's just positioning his car perfectly in those corners to make it as wide as humanly possible, and Hobson can't really do anything to get past at the moment.
Yeah, I think there will be a little bit of conserving tyres going on. So I believe the estimate for laps for fuel-wise is about 85 laps. So doing a quick little bit of maths, 150 laps total and 85 laps on the tank of gas means that you can pretty clearly do it on one stop. Split the race in half. So most drivers will probably be looking at doing that one stop and making those tyres try and last those 75 laps.
Yeah, that's going to be the hardest part, is trying to get those tyres to last those 75 laps, to last that half distance. And that's going to be the tricky point, I think.
I think you'll find some guys will start running into a lot of trouble around that lap 50. So I reckon you might see some guys looking at maybe doing a 3-stop race.
I'd like to see some 2-stoppers, yeah. Split it up into chunks of 50 and see if you can get a time advantage on those fresh tyres. Because we're seeing almost a second, I think, half a second to a second lap drop off after just 15 laps.
Just big moment for Noddy Tompkins there, who had a big moment out of the corner. I was just trying to find it because I saw a big puff of dirt and smoke up in the air as the leaders came flying by. And Noddy just had a big moment as the rear stepped out on him. So he's just got a little bit too much heat in those tyres, I think. Good save from him, though. He did a very nice save to keep that car on the track, because, yeah, that was almost a goner. There you go, seeing him absolutely sideways there, doing an Andrew Dyson celebration mid-race, which is something you don't want to do generally.
An unintentional Andrew Dyson celebration.
That's it. But a very good save there from Noddy. Just
nice
locked
control.
up that left front just enough to get the cars just pointing in the right direction. Beautiful job from him. Meanwhile, Dyson's pulling out a good little lead at the front, and Foster is still doing a great job just keeping Hobson behind him. They're running different lines. Hobson's running a much higher line at the moment. Foster's just running that slightly lower line, letting the car ease up in the mid-corner, get the good exit speed, and just be that annoying little bit just in front of him at the moment. And I'm sure Hobson's got a little bit more pace that he wants to use at the moment. But it might be good for him just to be sitting behind Foster, because that's going to keep his tyres a little bit fresher. towards the end of the stint. The trouble is if he starts trying to overdrive to try and overtake Foster, he could start lighting the rears up and then cause himself some issues. As a caution flag comes out. And it looks like it might be Aiden Schultz.
Let's jump back and see if we can find what's happened here. Grab a replay now.
So just coming into turn 1. He's just come into turn 1 and the rear's just stepped out on him there. Just a bit too much heat in those rear tyres, and he's come down a little bit low on the line, and he's just getting past Norman Clark there. He was just passing Norman Clark for position. He's taking a slightly lower line, taking the lower line to try and get past him, taking the tighter line, and that's added a little bit of heat into the tyres, and all of a sudden the back end has given up all ideas of grip, as those tyres have turned it into almost like chewed chewing gum.
Yeah, I did say he's been running those tyres pretty hard. He's been making up from that first lap incident and catching up on the field, and that might have just contributed to that there. We'll go back live now. No takers for pit road.
No, everybody's sticking it out there by the looks of it.
Yeah, everyone's staying out.
I find that unusual. I would have probably come in and just gone to a different strategy, so that breaks it up. So you've got another little ace up your sleeve.
Well, we've only done 20 laps, and we have seen, of course, with the Gen 7 car, the cold tyres do tend to struggle a little bit for those first few laps. And I wonder if people are a little bit concerned with that and don't want to go through that struggle period, and maybe looking to extend the stint a little bit. Just got some info from Paul Drady in the chat, who was just saying ran the race last night, and there wasn't a huge drop off on the tyres. So thank you for that, and hello to Gail Foster as well. It's nice to be back up here in the booth, and nice to be getting the voice out here for a bit of time. We've got some takers now, though, as Nankervis, Koch, Wellman, Tompkins, and Phelps have all come into pit lane. Looks like they are all just taking fuel by the looks of things. Maybe Nankervis might have taken lefts as just a set of tyres. Just go back to a little look-see. No, just fuel only for him as well. So it looks like they've just come in just to top up the tanks a little bit, just to go that little bit further in the race, although we have got the 45 in now, taking some tyres. That's Gary Wellman.
Gary was the lucky dog there, I believe, Carl.
Yeah. So all the a couple of the lucky dog takers, and they decided they'd use this chance. And as you said, Mark, I'm surprised a few more people didn't take the opportunity to try rolling the dice and try something different, because it's sometimes that being off strategy a little bit can really help out in a race like this.
Yeah, I personally would have probably ducked in and taken some the rights and topped off with fuel, but it's I would have maybe thought someone like Stevie Darb and Brad Allison, a couple of those guys may have tried an alternate.
It'll be interesting to see how Wellman does off this restart, and as we get back to racing, as we get the pace car will be coming in, as they will be getting to the restart zone, and we'll be going back to green flag racing here at New Hampshire for round number 19 of the ANZCAR Cup, brought to you by 24/7 Sim Services.
That was a fantastic start by Dyson there.
Textbook. If you ever want a textbook start, that is how you do it. He just absolutely nailed that one. Beautiful, just at the edge of the restart zone, and then pulled it up, had enough room to get up to the top and take his line, his preferred line as well. And Foster's got caught out a little bit by that one, because given Hobson the chance to get ahead of him a little bit. Foster was sort of just stuck a little bit on that high line, and it gave Hobson the chance to get that inside line and get that position made on the restart. So Hobson moving up into second. We'll see if Hobson's got a little bit more pace now, and see what he can do. See if he can start chasing down Dyson, or if Dyson will again pull out a big lead. It's going to be interesting watching this one though. But as I said, don't discount Foster. He's going to be just sitting there, just preserving the car. Watch out a little bit for Barry Neal as well. He's got Neil Pearson down the inside at the moment. Those two racing very hard with each other. Neal on the outside, Pearson on the inside as they come down towards turn number 1. Pearson going to be the last of the late breakers here, going into the corner. Very late there. Neil on the outside, he's gone up a bit high, gone up onto that slightly different material. As Skurlock has a big snap coming out the corner. Thing is, Neil's got better run out the corner on that high line. Barry Neal, that is, not Neil Pearson. Neil Pearson's got the better sort of initial exit, but then Barry Neal's able to get the speed on the exit of the end of the straights. So this is a real neck and neck fight at the moment.
Yeah, it's good racing there. You can just see that Neil Pearson just dived it in a bit deeper there, and Barry sort of backed out of it or opened up the steering wheel and just went high a little bit. Although here comes Barry making another run back.
Big battle going on a bit further back between Trahair and Russell as well. Those two banging doors with each other as well. They're getting really racy down in 10th and 11th place at the moment, and this has given Josh Micklemore the opportunity to make a bit of a pounce too. So some battles going throughout the field. Neil Pearson making the move stick finally on Barry Neal. Barry Neal doing a nice job up in 7th position at the moment, but I think the one I was sort of keeping an eye on was Trahair and Russell, because those two were getting very, very close to each other, but they managed to make it work, as we see Heddershide and Douglas now battling it out for 4th and 5th.
I was going to say, Carl, Barry may have hurt those tyres just a little bit there with battling with Neil, because he's fallen right back into the clutches of Skurlock.
Big snap of oversteer on the exit for Dave Douglas. Double D just had a big moment on the exit of the corner, and we've seen a few people tonight just have that, and he saved it nicely. Only lost in one position, but that would have been a scary moment in car.
Yeah, it definitely would have been. Last night in the Thunder Series, there wasn't much. Dave was keeping straight. He was drifting just about the whole track last night.
Pocono, you need to drift it.
She was pretty loose in some of those corners at Pocono, that's for sure.
No, they don't call it the drifty triangle for nothing. Good race as well as Skurlock just getting up towards the wall there, and that's given Jason Martin a little bit of a sniff, and now Micklemore's got a sniff on Trahair and Russell as they go 3-1. Moore loses the rear end of the car. He manages to save it just about, but he's going to lose a handful of positions there, as that was a big moment. Very, very brave to go 3 wide at New Hampshire. There's a reason you don't do that, and I think we just saw the reason why you don't do that is because you lose positions.
See if we can have a look at that 3 wide action again and slow it down a little bit. We'll jump on the chopper view. So they all got just a little bit checked up there. Martin was a little bit slow, and it sort of checked up the 43, which allowed the 28 and the 31 to sort of pounce on him. And 31 there, so that's another good save from Josh Micklemore this time.
Yeah, really nicely done. Meanwhile, we've still got that battle going on between Trahair and Russell. Those two have been fighting tooth and nail all night long. They are absolutely going for it at the moment. They are not giving each other rest at all at the moment, and they're sitting right behind Jason Martin as well, who's going to have to constantly be looking in that rearview mirror, just checking it to make sure neither one of them decides to make a bit of a pounce on him. So we've got real close action through the field at the moment, especially from 8th onwards. Well, I'd say even 7th onwards, actually, behind Dave Douglas, with Michael Skurlock, Jason Martin, Trahair, Russell, and Adam Malone getting involved in this fight as well.
It's pretty intense battle going on there. I think if anyone gets checked up, the other cars are ready to pounce on them. That's for sure. As we see, Skurlock just ran high there. I think Skurlock sort of decided that he's had a bit of enough of racing this hard so early in the race. So he's kind of just staying up high and sort of dropping back a bit there.
Man that's probably going to be out of this race is Aidan Schultz. I think he's got a puncture on the right front, or the suspension is absolutely gone. He took a big heavy hit into the wall at turn 1. Lost, on the exit of turn 4. Lost the car. Went high up into the barrier, and I think the suspension is gone on that car. He was dragging the wheel, and there was a few sparks coming out from underneath it when I last saw it. But he's had another big snap on the exit of the corner, and then hard up into the wall. Just seeing the aftermath of the accident there, and then this is it. So he's just come out the corner. He's just put on the power a bit too soon, and the back end steps out and bang up into the wall. He goes heavy hit there. That will have jolted his hands for sure. Meanwhile, Jason Martin making a move on Dave Douglas now. Those two fighting it out, and the purple Mitch Motorsport car making a move on the casting couch entry, getting down on the number 10, moving underneath Dave Douglas and just slipping by him at the moment. They're trying their best to fight side by side. Dave Douglas on the top, Jason Martin on the bottom at the moment, but it looks like Martin's got the best as Douglas gets a big amount of oversteer on the exit. Has to give an armful of opposite lock, has to crank his hand around. Just manages to save it in the nick of time, but that's Jason Martin now into another position. Douglas might even lose a position to Jaden Russell now as he recovers that car. Big back end tail slide from him, as those rear tyres will have caught some heat from that initial slide.
Yeah, his rear tyres don't look very happy. He's sliding around a bit there. Let's just check the weather to see the temperature. So track's, yeah, still 44 degrees on track temperature there, so very easy to overheat those tyres. That could be what he's struggling there with.
Yeah, Douglas has really got the rear rubbers up to a very hot temperature, and it is causing him no end of bother at the moment. You can see it's just sliding all over the place. That thing it's really not comfortable. Just needs to settle down for a couple of laps, just take a slightly wider line and just ease it off a little bit, relax, and just get the car in. He gets another big snap, and he's gonna crash. Douglas manages to skip across the infield. He manages to take a curb, gets all four wheels off into the air, launches the car across the grass, but he managed to save it.
Let's have a look here and see what happened.
So big snap of the rear going off there in front of Michael Skurlock, and you can see he's just trying to save it from hitting the fence. He does, just going along there to the road course section, jumps the car across the road track section, and saves that car from disastrous results there. So great save there from Dave Douglas.
That's a hell of a jump there. That was.
And
the only thing we were missing was the horn.
Yeah. Big check-up.
Smoke in the background there. I'm not sure where that came from.
There was a bit of a check-up between Moko Dortnack, Ruben Phelps, and Maddie Ray. Ruben just was trying to made a move on Maddie Ray and just got a little bit loose and just checked up a little bit, had to slam on the brakes just to save the car, and then Moko just managed to stop it in time and avoid a big accident. So I don't know if that was the resulting smoke in that one. Is that Noddy Tompkins there?
Noddy Tompkins there. Let's have a look and go back and see if we can find out what's happened here. I think Noddy's definitely struggling with tyres. Oh, look at that, it just hasn't turned.
Yeah. He's gone in way too late there. He's up on that high end, and I think he's also had his eyes in the mirror because he's had a lot of cars behind him. Even though they were quite a bit behind him, he sort of glanced up to see when the next set of cars are coming. He's tried to take that high line, and there's going to be all kind of debris and rubbish up there as well now at this stage of the race. and he's just completely lost traction, and that's a big whack to the SRM team, the mobile brake and mechanical entry there. Big shame for Noddy Tompkins.
And it looks like he's towed as well. I think that's had
Yeah,
quite a bit of damage to it. Of course,
I
with the
think
new
that's
damage model, it looks pretty good when the wheels are damaged, but it's not good for the driver.
no, that's it. The new damage models, they look fantastic, but they're not great for when you're actually racing because they do tend to cause a lot of damage.
Just having a little look here with Jason Martin, the purple car in 6th place, looking to try and get past Barry O'Neill in the 22 orange car there, and that will be for 5th place.
And speaking of orange cars, I jump up to the front because there is an orange car under attack by a black car at the moment of Brenton Hobson in the the Synergy car. Right on the tail of Dyson. He's putting a lot of pressure on Dyson at the moment. He's trying to pressure Dyson into making a mistake at the moment, and that's something that is that's a lot easier said than done. Dyson is very he's a driver that doesn't tend to crack under pressure, so this could be a really interesting battle. A little bit further back, Neil Pearson now on the outside as he gets passed by Luke Trahat and Jaden Russell. So Neil Pearson losing a couple of spots out of the corner there. What happened to Pearson? Just ran wide. Again, just got caught up on the high line, and he could not get that car turned for love nor money as he went up on the granite section of the track, rather than that nice sticky asphalt on the low line, and that car would not turn in.
I guess with the tyres sort of getting a bit hot and worn out, they got to stay in that one groove. If you get out of that groove, it's pretty hard to get down into it. Although Hobson's doing a pretty good job there. He's trying to sort of like dime in the corner, I think.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of sensation. It's almost like driving in the wet. You sort of have one groove that works for you, and if you get off of that line, it all goes wrong for you. And it's a strange sensation in a NASCAR or an oval because you're more used to that with wet weather, and when it's not raining and that happens, you sort of start thinking you've gone mad.
Cars are closing up for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th positions.
And then there's a mighty battle going on from 10th onwards as well. At the moment, Michael Skurlock hemorrhaging positions at the moment. He's dropped back and is dropping back as Gary Wellman is pushing his way through the field.
Yeah.
Remember, Gary Wellman has got the freshest tyres out there on the right side. So his tyres are much fresher by about 20 laps. And that's the difference it's making for him, I'd say. His tyres haven't quite dropped off that cliff yet, and he's able to just take a slightly better line than everybody else. Oh, Stevie Dub loses the rear end. Stevie Dub loses it, and the caution flag is out.
Jump back and have a look at that one.
And he's just taken that line a bit too tight there, Stevie Williams, and looks like he's just coming a bit too tight, and the back end is just not going to stick there. Again, we've sort of seen that before. Is if you try and take that corner a little bit too low, the rear does not stick at all. Those tyres will just absolutely boil off on you, almost like like a bowl of soup left on the stove too long and just overboils, and that's it. Your night is done.
Yeah, and of course it's quite deceptive. Like the bottom part of the track there is not the same banking as what the outside part is. It's actually different. I'll see if we
Yeah,
can
it's
grab a replay and let's see if we can jump on the nose and sort of see the differences in the banking on the track. Because yeah,
I
that's
think
what
it's about
catches people out too.
2 degrees on the low and then 7 on the high line. It just sort of goes up, um, just goes up, and you can see it here beautifully from the nose cam. You can just see how it creeps upwards, and that flatter line. Obviously, it does not help the car turn in at all, as everybody is coming down pit lane, bar Gary Wellman actually. But I think Gary Wellman will come in next time round. He's just gonna get a lap in the lead for a moment and just enjoy that under the pace car. but they all come into pit lane, and there's a gaggle of cars trying to get out at the same time. Foster makes it out just behind his teammate Daniel Hedderscheid, who had a fantastic pit stop. Hedderscheid just did an absolutely beautiful stop in pit lane. 14.8 seconds is stop time. So a good couple of tenths of a second faster than his teammate. Dyson was a 14.8 as well. So pretty much identical times there for Dyson and Hedderscheid, and that is what helped Hedderscheid jump his teammate Edward Foster there.
That's right, yeah, and that Wellman pit stop time there is his one from earlier. That's not the last one because he didn't pit that last round, but all pretty much the same, all around about the 17, the 14s, 14.5 range. Which
Yeah,
sort
that's
of
it.
means that everyone's got 4 tyres. I don't think you'd want to go for 2 tyres only on this track, but never
No,
know.
especially at this stage, I think it's probably not worth just going two, because you're going to need to take a full tank of fuel as well, obviously. So you're going to lose the time no matter what, and probably best to have everything even rather than having things off kilter.
So the question now, Carl, is that we've done the 51 of 150. So do some of these drivers decide to make it a 2-stop race?
What was the fuel window you were saying, Matt?
85 to 90.
Yeah, so they're going to need to make 9 laps of fuel to make it a one-stopper.
It's a big ask.
It is.
That's a lot of saving.
So I wonder if that's why Stevie Dobbs coming in now just to get an extra top up of fuel. Looks like Gary Wellman's going to stick it out there and actually start from the front. So Wellman's going to try and do something a bit different here. And that could be... It's a big risk out there, of course. His tyres are going to be very, very worn at this stage of the race.
Yeah, he'll
But
have to
it could
manage
pay
this
off, man.
restart. He'll have to manage this
Yeah.
restart on warm tyres.
Yeah, it's a scary prospect having to do this, having to do a restart on worn tyres. It's always a scary thing to do. But Gary Wellman's got quite a bit of experience under his belt. We'll see how this one goes. Mark, what do you reckon the strategy on that one is?
It's pretty keen. I'd rather have fresh rubber.
Great
Yeah,
start.
but he's made a great start, Matt.
Yeah.
Like as you said,
He's managed that very, very well. Yep. But as you'll see here in the corners, he's going to get eaten alive by these cars on fresh tyres. Look at that.
Yeah, that extra bit of grip, even though the tyres are cold, that extra grip is just showing. And Wellman just keeping low and just taking a little bit less speed. He sort of knows that he doesn't have the pace necessarily, but he's just holding the car in there just a little bit longer, just trying to get track position rather than getting the tyres, and maybe hoping that we see a caution in the next 5 to 10 laps.
I think right about now he may be kicking himself.
Yeah. Hard to see what strategies on that because you're still going to need one more stop. And I think everybody else is pretty much going to do one stop as well. I think it's... Yeah. What did we say about 8 or 9 laps worth of fuel saving? It's pretty hard.
Yeah, so a lot of fuel to save. If you've got a boot that's got a little bit of a fuel tank in it, now's the time to use it. I think maybe Gary Wellman was just banking on maybe a bit of an incident on the restart and hoping that everybody would come in for a bit of a top up of fuel and maybe make a stop again then and be on the freshest tyres or something like that. Just trying a bit of a gamble, but it definitely did not pay off there. So that one really hurt him. But of course
The other
has
thing with that
taken...
as well is he might have been trying to save a set for tyres for the end. So, yeah.
Yeah,
As I
he's
said,
already taken one step, so
Yeah.
that is true.
Yep. As I see,
So-
Paul's chucked a comment on YouTube as well, thinking along same thing that I'm thinking, needed to save a set. Yeah. I just think with the way the racing's been with the late cautions of late, you've got to have a set up your sleeve. So he's just got to tough it out really, and yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a tricky decision to make, and that's one of the issues of stopping that early. I guess that's the thing that comes back to bite you, is if that caution didn't come out, he would have been sitting pretty. We saw how much time he was gaining on those cars in front of him on those slightly fresher tyres. And unfortunately, that caution came out right at the wrong time for Gary Wellman, and has really cost him dearly. So that is no, it's a big shame. But he did a great job of handling it at the car and managing his way through the traffic. Unfortunately, it was in the wrong way. It was going backwards rather than forwards, but he kept his car in the right position at the right time all throughout that first couple of laps and did not get involved in any incidents. So great driving there from Gary Wellman.
Yeah, he did a superb job there. He realised he wasn't fighting these guys for the position. They all had tyres on him. There was no point fighting and doing anything silly, so he just let them all sort of go through, and he managed it very, very well.
He does get a bonus point for leading a lap, though, so that's something.
Which is important for him because he is right on that edge of that top 10, so he needs
Exactly.
every point he can get to see if he can make his way into the chase.
Every point can count. It's one of those little things, and that might have been part of his thinking as well. Just sort of going into it thinking, well, I can get a bonus point here. I might try for it. It's if all things go wrong, then at least I've got one extra point that I would have had. So it's not always a bad idea. So again, could be a little bit of strategy in play there. And now it's sort of plateaued a little bit. Now everybody's sort of setting similar paces to him. He's sort of dropped down to around about 22nd, and he's still ahead of Stevie Dubb and Jamie Nankervis at the moment, just sitting behind Tristan Koch, setting similar lap times to those cars. So it's not over by a long shot for him. So we'll see how that one plays out. But meanwhile, up the front, we've got the battle going on for the lead. It's the never-ending struggle this season of Dyson and Hobson. These two seem to be linked by a bungee cord, and no matter where we go, every track, these two seem to be finding each other every single time, and constantly with each other. And then sitting just behind them is Henscheid and Foster, another couple of drivers that seem to be up the top more often than not. Barry Neal doing a great job tonight up in P5. He's been having a stellar season as well. Speaking of drivers that have been having a good run, he has been having some good races and been doing a cracking job. He's not had as much success as I'm sure he wants to, but he's been sitting in some top 10 positions and just sitting nicely in some good results. Luke Traher just behind him, driver that's probably not had the season he wants. Luke's had a bit of a quiet season so far, especially for Traher standards. We've not seen him up on the top step, I don't think, all year, which is odd for Traher because he is one of those drivers that is always there or thereabouts, and one of those drivers that can very easily snatch a win if you take your eyes off him for a couple of moments. And then Jason Martin sitting behind him, of course, who seems to have gotten more to grips with this new car.
Yeah, he seems to be coming on right. We're in race 19 now of 26 for the regular season, and there's no point peaking in races 1 to 10. You want to try and time it and get a good strong run going so that you can hit race 26 and 27 onwards. That last 10 races, you want to be hitting that pretty strong and informed. So we're definitely seeing a few drivers who have been a bit quiet earlier in the season. They're definitely coming on strong now.
Yeah, this new car has really shaken up the order a little bit and has changed things up. There's been a few drivers that have struggled to get used to it, a few drivers that have really flourished in it, and a few drivers that just sort of plateaued a little bit with it as well. And I'd say one of those drivers is probably Josh Mickelmore. He's had some good runs and some good races in this car and this season, but he's not been having the season that he would have wanted, and sort of the usual Mickelmore season. It's sort of been strong top 10 finisher and always in that sort of top 10 range, but he's not been really fighting it out for the victories as much as he would have wanted.
But this run that he's having here, he's sitting in 10th spot. It certainly just goes to show the struggles that some of the more experienced drivers have had adapting to this new car, because New Hampshire is one of his favourite tracks, It is a track that he always does really, really well in. He did. I think he ran second to his teammate in the Thunder Series last week here. But it's definitely one he always looks forward to because he always does pretty strong. But yeah, he's running 10th in this race, and I think he's mentioned that he's still struggling to get to grips with the car.
I imagine that would have been one Hamish Gallagher that was ahead of him
Yes, of course, his teammate, Hamish
in
Gillian.
Thunder Series. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
the the man that nobody can beat in Thunder. The Xfinity Whisperer, we should call him.
Oh, he
Um,
got beaten on last night,
it
but
happens. I mean,
yeah, he just a bit of bad luck, I think.
but yeah, speaking of drivers that have just absolutely got cars nailed. He is that Xfinity car is just. He is one of those drivers that is unbelievably quick in that car, and he's just got it absolutely down pat. And it's amazing the difference it makes. When something does change, and these cars obviously they've changed a bit since the release and all of that kind of stuff as well, and that's changed up the pecking order a little bit as well. And it really has been a struggle for a lot of drivers, especially the old guard, I'd say, to get absolutely used to this car. I think the drivers that are a bit more used to GT3s and um, maybe the V8s, that sort of car, they've had a slightly easier transition to it, but it still catches you out because it's just such a different beast to drive.
It's just so snappy. Like the what you used to in the old car and this car, it's completely different. Where the old car you could like drive out of a loose. This thing just seems to snap on you, and with no warning at all.
Yeah, it's a car that you definitely feel the rear has changed on it because when you do have that snap moment, it's very hard to recover it, and generally when it does snap, that you can't recover it unless you are incredibly skilled or incredibly lucky, and it usually veers more towards the incredible skilled side of the pit lane. But it's a very difficult car to master, and it's been great seeing some of these drivers get to grips with it, and especially some of those drivers that we know. There's so many drivers in this field that are championship contenders and winning contenders as well. That easily, I would say, 20 of these drivers here have could easily take a victory at any track, any day in the ANZCAR series, but in the Cup series, it has very much been the case of a few drivers have absolutely mastered and nailed it, and one of those people is Foster, who is looking to make a move on his teammate at the moment in the AJD sponsored Atari car. He is trying to make a move on the 035 of Daniel Hennessy, who's just got a bit loose on the exit. This is going to give Foster the run down towards turn one. Foster's going to look at taking a high line, I reckon. He does indeed. He sticks it up high, doesn't go for the inside dive, but he takes a slightly higher line and takes a tighter exit this time round. Forces Heddershide up a little bit higher. He's trying to force Heddershide just to take a slightly higher exit line and just unsettle that car a little bit. Foster trying his best to get past his teammate. It's not working at the moment, and he's got a very, very, very quick Barry Neal behind him as well. That orange car of the Aotora racing team is going to be looking at trying to get past as well.
That's the problem there with him attacking, trying to get past the teammate in front. It's sort of slowed them both down and allowed Barry to get a bit of a run, but looks like they've sort of settled down again into the groove, and Foster's pulling away again from Barry Neal and settling in.
Yeah, it is the thing of when you battling your teammates, it can be very tricky because it's you generally the first person you want to beat in a race is your teammate.
That's the only one you really want to beat, isn't it?
Well, I'd be happy to beat 26, 25 other drivers in this race. I don't really care who they are. I'm not picky.
Yeah, it's a very tough field. Matt and I spoke about it a few weeks ago. It's any one of probably 15 cars could win any night.
Hobson having a big moment up the front. This is going to give Hedderscheid the chance to have a big run on him. Hobson losing the rear of the car in the mid corner, the back end stepping out on him. He managed to save it, but he lost a lot of speed down the straight. He's trying to recover the car now, and of course the trouble is now his rear tyres will have got hot on that bit of a moment. You can see he's struggling to get the car under control on the exit of the corner now. And yeah, he's really struggling at the moment because those tyres will have heated up. And look at Hedderscheid pouncing on him straight away. Just that slight mistake. And exactly what you said, Mark. You know, I'd say 15, 20 drivers out there easily could take the victory without, thinking twice. And that's not disparaging the other sort of the other sort of 10 to 15 drivers that we see often out here on a weekly basis. It's such a strong field at the moment that everybody is so close at the moment, so constantly next to each other. It's very hard to get that victory, and it's those drivers that have that extra tenth of a second in their pocket that make that little bit of a difference. As got Mirko Dornak coming into pit lane. I'm just going to have a quick look at that one. But this fight is pretty intense up front.
Hedderscheid goes down to the inside there. Hobson around a bit high there. Let's see if he can use that momentum off the high line. Oh, Hedderscheid got a little bit squirrely, a little bit sideways there, and that's cost him a bit of momentum there. So that means Hobson will have a bit of room to be able to pick where he wants to put the car.
And with these guys battling like that, it's allowed Dyson to get a 2.5 second gap out the front. So Dyson will be saying, "Keep at it, boys, keep at it."
Yeah. Dyson will be smiling at this one.
And you can see now on the screen, it's bunched that group of cars up as well. There's 8 cars there involved in that. 7 cars involved in that group now that are they're kind of all just bunching up a little bit and getting on top of each other. So it's going to heat up a little bit.
I was a much better commentator than I once said. Catching is one thing, passing is another, and that is so very true. It's very, very hard to pass in a place like New Hampshire when your tyres have got to this stage as well. It becomes very tricky to make that move if you don't have that pace advantage of around about I'd probably say about 0.2 of a second. You're not going to be able to pass with much ease. You've got to do it in the corners, and the tyres will have fallen off the cliff by now. They've already done about 30 laps in this stint, so the tyres are getting very, very loose now. As Jason Martin, I think I was in the background, had a big moment off the exit of turn 4, and he lost out, and he's lost out big time. He's fallen out of this pack. Rear of that car just stepping out of him when he gets back on the gas, and he saves it going down the straight, but loses position, and he's dropped off the back of this pack now. Jaden Russell ahead of him, but Foster is having to defend at the moment against Barry Neal.
Barry Neal, yeah. I was going to say that... oh, sorry, you go, Matt.
I was going to say, just going back to the tyres, Carl, Gary Willman looks like he may have just pitted. His last stint of tyres did 60 laps. So he's by the look of it now, he's come in and done another pit stop and come out again.
So Wellman's done his final stop now, so he can make it to the end. So what he's going to be hoping for is a green run to the end, because this could really help him out. I mean, it's not a huge drop off on pace, and the tyres do plateau a bit, but fresher tyres are always going to be quicker than tyres that have done 35 laps. So Wellman could well find himself now starting to gain a little bit of time and get himself up into a nice position. He's just ahead of Andrew Dyson at the moment. So he's just ahead of the leader at the moment. And I think he is 1 lap down. So he's just managed to lose a single lap in that pit stop. So that is good news for him. because he will be able to pull away from Dyson now, and the bigger gap he builds to Dyson means the more cars he'll overtake when people come into the pit lane and slap on some new tyres, of course. So this could trigger people coming in to pit lane, so they don't get undercut. There's
Oh.
contact between Heddershide and Hobson.
Oh, it's going to bring out a caution.
That's exactly what Wellman did not want to see, as there is contact there.
So I just seen the timing screen light up. It was got really close between Hobson and Heddershot there, and so that's why I jumped back just as that incident was happening. So let's have a little bit of a look, jump in the replay, and see if we can work out what's going on here.
It's a bit of a tricky one. I'm sort of going back to look at it. Hobson has gone into that sort of diamond pattern, sort of that he's been taken. Heddershide's taken the sort of midline, and he's sort of got through the corner much faster. And then they've just made contact on the exit of the corner. So we'll see here going into the corner. Hobson's going to take that sort of more diamond line. He goes through tight in the first section, high in the middle, and then tightens up when he comes out. And then, unfortunately, Heddershide's sort of down on that low line. He's got the wheel in front of the. He's got his front wheel in front of the rear axle of Hobson there, and they just make the slightest contact. Unfortunately, it just unsettles the cars enough that it launches Hobson up, and it almost sort of on my screen didn't look like they made much contact at all. It was a sort of more netcodey contact, but it was a big impact. And then unfortunately Foster's gone careening into his teammate, and then
the front wheels are gone.
Yeah,
that is
that's it.
That is amazing. We're seeing the front wheels just going on these cars. That's amazing.
Dyson's in pit lane.
Yeah, so everybody will be in pit lane now for their final stop, and this was, this is exactly what Gary Wellman did not want to see. As I said, it just it's completely ruined his strategy call, and that is he's going to get his lap back at least, I guess. That's the one good news thing for him. It could be worse, of course. You could be the 53 or the 035 at the moment, who are both very much out of this race. So that's Heddershide and Foster, I think, pretty much done. I think Heddershide might be able to get some repairs done and possibly get back on track, but I think Foster's night is very much over. What about Hobson? I think his night is done as well. I think his car is very much beyond repair, unfortunately. So I think we've lost Hobson as well, which is a big shame, because Hobson, of course, leading the championship coming into this round. And
there's a bit too much camber on that right front wheel there.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, that's a strange looking camber there.
Yeah, same with Hobson's actually. Hobson's right front was completely underneath the car.
I think Daniel's was as well. From when we were looking at the replay, it looked like it folded under as well. But on his left front, yeah, unfortunate. Well, I think all three cars damaged their front wheel. Although it looks like Daniel's coming out of the pits as we speak.
Yeah, I think Daniel's was not quite as bad. He sort of managed to. I'm going back. It doesn't look like he's folded underneath the car as much. So looks like because he sort of almost went straight on, he hit the car more nose first.
It didn't do so much damage.
Hobson and Ed and Foster hit the wall. So that's probably where most of their damage come from.
Yeah, it's weird because it's sort of I'm just going back and have a bit of a look at it, and the wheel definitely looks like it's not quite pointing in the right direction. But then it sort of reattached itself. So I think iRacing sort of went, "Oh no, it's fine," and then he drove off. There was a moment there where Heddershide's wheel was underneath the car, and then it's sort of the tether's done its job and bounced it back into position. And luckily, the the wheels found itself back onto the axle, so it's worked out well for him. But we're getting back to green flag racing here as Dyson leads away. It's a
Another
pair
good
of
jump.
orange cars up the front.
Yeah, Andrew got a nice jump there. Barry's going to use that outside momentum to try and stay there on the outside of the 43.
We've seen the inside line work better on the restart so far, but it is.
Luke dropped in behind Neil.
Yeah, Barry Neal managing to make that high line work this time around. So nice work there from Barry Neal. He got that one working nicely. Watch out for Gary Wellman on this restart because his tyres will be nice and warm. They should be in the right heat range. So he's probably going to make up a few positions on this restart.
Yeah.
So watch out for him carving his way through the field in the initial couple of laps. In the next 3 to 4 laps, I think he's going to make up a few positions, and then it will start to even out a little bit.
Yeah, and his tyres are only 6 laps older than everybody else's, and a few of those laps are run under caution. So, yeah, so I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, so the cautions come out at completely the wrong time both times for Wellman. It's not been the ideal caution time for him, for his strategy, but this time it actually, I think, getting out in front of Dyson and just being 1 lap down really made a difference for him. Gave him that opportunity to sort of get the lap back, and he's able to fight his way through the field. Meanwhile, up the front, we've got a real big fight going on. As you see, Dave Douglas making contact there with Adam Malone, I think it was, but we've got Barry Neal and Luke Traher at the moment as well, so side by side. It is all going on throughout the field. There's some real heavy fighting going on, and I think people know you need to make the pass happen early, because otherwise you're sort of going to get stuck behind the car in front of you. So you need to make that move happen quite early, otherwise you sort of get stuck into that position. So people are really trying hard in these early stages to make those moves done.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say both Dave and Spurlow has got past Malone.
I think passing is very hard, and requires a lot of patience. You can't sort of get the pass done in 1 lap. You need to it takes a couple of laps to get the pass done, and almost takes the other person making a bit of a mistake to get the pass done because the cars are so evenly matched. But that's going to lead to more sort of door banging and so on.
It's not door
Yeah.
banging, Matt. It's rubbing.
Well, that's funny because that last incident, you could kind of feel something was brewing there because, yeah, those 7 cars are all on top of each other and they're all having a really hard time passing. So, just took one little mistake and it set it off.
Just noticed down in the infield care centre, we've actually got the driver of the 53, Mr. Edward Foster, sitting down there. So we might just grab him up quickly while we've got the opportunity. Edward Foster of the Atari 53. Unfortunate to see you in the booth so early. Big accident for yourself into your teammate after you made contact with Hobson there.
Yeah, and he's back out there, and I'm not. So
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a horror 3 races for me, unfortunately. The first 2 were self-inflicted, but I don't think I had too much to do with that one.
No, very much an unlucky passenger in that one. We were kind of watching it, and we saw Daniel Headshide's tyre sort of reattach itself. It was almost like the Liquid Metal Man. It sort of reforged itself back into the right spot. Unfortunately, yours didn't seem to do the same.
No, it didn't. It absolutely killed all the front suspension. So I'm hoping, I should be able to get out there in about a minute, and I'm hoping that the whole thing's not going to be too bad. There's not going to be any engine damage or anything like that. But yeah, we're just going to be circulating from points for here on out, unfortunately.
Well, good luck when you get back out there. Hopefully you can keep it running and hopefully not to lose too many spots.
I'm 22nd at the moment. I don't really see myself gaining too much more unless there's a wreck.
Well, that's the big thing.
Yeah, so
I would say
try.
I would say I'd love to see you get off a few positions, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, it seems pretty unlikely, but we'll do our best. We'll circulate anyway.
Hopefully get you back in the booth for better times soon, Ed. Thanks.
All right, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, so going back out there, obviously, and trying to pick up those all important points. And you never know what's going to happen. There could be a big wreck, and a few cars could fall out of the race, and you never know what can happen. But yeah, it would take an enormous wreck to get back up to the top 10, I think.
Yeah, definitely. This is turning into a nice little battle here, Carl.
Yeah, the battle from Phelps down to Lob at the moment is absolutely electric. And just in front of him, you got Dave Douglas, Brad Allison, Josh Micklemore as well. Those drivers are really going for it too. As Brad Allison just tries to make a bit of a move on Micklemore. Those three drivers, so it's pretty much from 6th down to 14th at the moment, this fight. It is all over the place. And again, drivers are trying to make the move early in this stint so they don't get sort of stuck in that awkward position later in the stage. So be interesting to see if anybody can take advantage of that one. Gary Wellman's worked his way up to the 16th position after that restart, so those sort of nice warmish tyres have helped him out. He's actually catching up to this battle just behind Norman Clark, the newest member of the 300 Club in ANZCAR, of course, getting that last week, I think it was.
It was, yes. Last week's Thunder race, he clicked over 300 starts.
He started as many races as his age now, so good to see from Norman.
I wouldn't have said quite his age. I think his age got a few more years on his race starts.
That's it. He needs another couple of hundred starts, and then he'll be closer. But he's getting there. No, really good to see, and it's great that we've got so many drivers up in that club now, and it's nice to see so many people sticking around. But Brad Allison getting a really nice driver out here on Josh Micklemore, getting the run down the start finish straight side by side into the corner. They go the 03 down on the inside of the 31. Micklemore runs up high. He's going to try and get a better exit here, but it looks like Allison has got the move made. Allison going to try and pinch him up a little bit. Nicely done. Micklemore gets a nice run off the corner. He's got good exits pace, but Allison has got the good pace in the middle. If Allison can keep this up, he should be able to just slide it in front of Josh. He just needs to get that nose ahead of him on the straight. But looks like Micklemore might have it now, and Allison's going to have to drop behind just to save himself from getting a bit of a run from Dave Douglas. I think Douglas has got starting to look a bit racy as well. This is fantastic action here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, you can definitely get in to the corner deeper on the low line, but it's just trying to get that momentum, that speed out of the corner.
Up to P2, sorry, Matt, just to cut you off, we've got Barry Neal making a move on Luke Traherne at the moment.
We do, yes.
The 22 on the 43 at the moment.
Barry's got a good run there off the corner on the inside. They're going to go side by side for a little while. Oh.
So close to each other,
Yeah.
these cars.
It was a great shot on that corner. You could see where Luke's car sort of slowed down and Barry's car went forward, but then you saw Barry's car slow down and Luke's car go forward. I think Barry might have got a little bit tight in the corner there.
Luke loses the rear end. And Barry blinks. Drama there for both cars. Very blinky moment for Barry Neal. Luke lost the rear end. That cost him both time, and that's given Jaden Russell a bit of a run now. Russell has got the run on Barry Neal at the moment, so all of a sudden racing for P2. Now Barry Neal has to try and protect himself from P4, so that's how quick it can change. And just behind, Josh Micklemore's made up a nice bit of time over Brad Allison, who's fallen back quite quickly. Darren Lobb really trying to put the pressure on Jason Martin now, so there's fights going all over the track at the moment.
There's good battles there. Yeah, Jaden Russell's just quietly worked his way up into the top 4 there now, and starting to put the pressure on the back of Barry Neal there for third. And Neil Pearson behind Jaden Russell there. Neil dropped that last green flag run. Neil had dropped down a bit. I think he was on the edge of the top 10 there. So yeah, he's got a new set of tyres and probably looking after them a little bit better on the start of this run, and that's leading to him being consistent up there in the top 5.
Yeah, I wonder if now, unfortunately, seeing we lost Hobson, unfortunately, from the race itself. I wonder if he's trying to help out Russell a little bit, giving him a few pointers and saying, "Oh, look, just do this, this, and this, and this might help you out." This is a good thing about teammates sometimes. But we know that the Synergy guys, they're quite close working relation group with the Mitch Motorsport boys as well. So I'm sure they'll be interested in trying to slow up Pearson a little bit to help Josh get a little bit closer. I'm sure, and then try and make a bit of a push to the front if they can.
I was just
Yeah.
going to ask you boys, have you seen Milo?
Milo.
Milo
No.
Milo the Moose, the track mascot.
How they got a moose? It's interesting. They got a lobster as their prize.
Yep, Milo was introduced to the track in 2009. So,
See, this moose facts are my speciality. I'm disappointed in this one. This just shows how unwell I am at the moment, unfortunately.
I'll just quickly jump in here and say I'm just keeping the camera on these 3 cars here, the 22, 28, and the 9. Just simply because obviously with the close running of this track seeing tonight, and these 3 guys don't really get on, so it might be worth just keeping an eye on them and see if anything happens, because they probably won't give each other the extra space that you would other people, and that might lead to some incidents.
Absolutely impartial commentary there, Matt.
Oh,
But absolutely true.
It's good to see. No, it's just quite funny when you see that guys that don't get on with each other, racing near each other on the track. You always keep an eye on out there for any potential action. Probably won't be anything that happens, but
Dave's
just
just got the pass done on Brad for 8.
and Barry's having another crack at Luke for second.
That's it. It's always the way you have those rivals on track that you, as I said, it's almost like a rubber band. You just get stuck next to them race after race after race. Barrett just gets a little bit wiggly, but he manages to hold it there nicely. He's going to lose a lot of speed on the exit of the corner, so you're going to see Luke jump back now on the exit of the corner here. But he gets caught up behind the 83 there of Matty Ray. Matty Ray on the outside, he thought he goes as wide as he can, but he couldn't really go anywhere else in that situation, and that has given Barry Neal the opportunity to get past. And of course, lap cars don't have to give way, and we always say keep to the high line. And unfortunately, a place like New Hampshire, it's very tricky because there's not much high line to take. So Mr. Sheen could not keep that one as clean as he wanted to. But they got through there without too much incident, but it has given Barry Neal the chance to get past Luke Trahere, and that is a change of position, change for P2.
And now Russell's putting the pressure on Luke for P3 as well. Just have a look through the timing screen. So yeah, Dave Douglas has definitely had a good strong run this time around. Ruben Phillips as well. Got a good battle pack there, Ruben, Darren and Brad. Michael Skewell up there. Got a bit loose off that corner. Jason Martin's down in 13th spot. He's dropped down this run, having a little bit of trouble.
Seems to be struggling on this set of tyres. It's not quite working for him as Jaden Russell makes the move on Luke Trahere for P2 as a contact. And there's a little bit of rub in there, and that is just forced Luke up high. That's cost him a lot of time as Russell pushes his way through, bullies his way past Luke Trahere there, and expect to see Luke try and get back at him there, and he does indeed. Just gives him a little bit of a nudge in the rear, a little bit of rubbing and racing there, a little bit of a bump and run tactic to try. But what that's done is helped
Pearson get around now. Yeah, and that's good to see. That's what this is oval racing. If you use the bumper a little bit or the car just to get the pass done, and when people do it back to you, you can't complain about it. But no, that's good. It's well done. It's good pass. Didn't wreck him. Didn't cost them that much.
No, beautiful showing of the bump and run there to try and take advantage of it. And that's the thing is, there's nothing wrong in a little bit of contact in oval racing. It's just got to not wreck the person beside you, and
Yeah.
that's the hard part sometimes.
Yeah, and that's I mean that's certainly something that's missing a little bit from the real life stuff as well now. Is Neil looks like he got a little bit tight there and pushed up, unfortunately, in front of Luke, and Luke just had to roll out of the throttle there.
Good situational awareness by Luke there. He just absolutely caught that one, saved that one from a big crash, because if he didn't lift off and roll off there, that would have been a big accident. So good driving there, and that looks like a very much just a car just got loose in the mid corner and just nowhere to go in that situation. And Luke just deciding it was better just to ease off, lift off rather than cause an accident, which is exactly the mentality that you want. That he can let his tires cool down a little bit now and then go back on the attack. So I think that's what we're going to see in the latter stages. We've got 30 laps remaining here at New Hampshire for the ANZCAR Cup series, brought to you by 24/7 Sim Services here on Performance e-streaming on YouTube, and of course the ANZCAR Facebook page. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please feel free to, because we'll catch all the updates, and of course head over to anzcar.com for all the latest news and information. You get all the updates and bits and bobs over there, and the ANZCAR Facebook page, of course, for updates on events and things like that.
I've just chucked up a graphic there so people can see the ANZCAR website. Yeah, www.anzcar.com. If you want to head over there and get all the news updates.
And if you're interested in applying as well, all the information for applying to the league is there as well. If you're finding this race interesting and enjoying what you see and want to get yourself out there on track, of course, there are a few different series that we run, of course, and there's also the Weekend Warriors on the Saturday nights. Of course, Mr. Mark Johansson will know more about that one, but lots of oval racing, luckily, in Australia, and it's just growing week in, week out, and just getting better and better with every race.
It's going to grow even more next year, Carl. I let the cat out of the bag last night with the Thunder with Wilco. So, we've got Jamie Nankervis around. Oh, spinning in the pit lane.
Oh,
Oh, and that's going to mean we're not going to get a caution.
no.
But Nankervis did he lost the rear on the exit, and has done the unconventional pit stop. So he might get a penalty for unsafe entry there, but that's not the way you want to do it.
Let's have a look here in the replay.
So it looks like the back end's just let go of off the corner again. He's taken that corner a little bit too low, and I reckon the right rear has just got a bit too hot, and it said, "No, I've had enough of this. I'm not going to hold on anymore," and it just lets itself go. Very lucky not to catch the big yellow barrels.
I reckon he might be safe with the pit lane entry penalty, but he may end up with a speeding in pit lane.
Yeah. Barry Neal now under all kinds of pressure from Jaden Russell. Russell is really applying the screws now in the Synergy car, and he gets a nice move underneath the Ayatora racing entry of Barry Neal and gets the move done.
Yeah, good move there, and Russell's got to try and set his sights now for Dyson ahead of him, although he's only got 24 laps to catch up, and Dyson is almost 4 seconds ahead. So, and you got to imagine that with that 4-second lead, and he probably won't be going 100% flat out. He probably would have backed it off a bit just to save a bit of car, just in case anybody does catch up to him.
That is it. And just before you were rudely interrupted there, Mark, you were about to say something.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just going to say I let the cat out of the bag last night. Next year, I think...
What has happened there?
And the Kona's going for a ride. Next year, we're going to have plenty of oval track racing. Just locked it up, trying to get... Yep, same thing again. Back end just steps out and...
Yep, this is on the exit of turn 4.
Jason Martin trying his best to pay tribute to a fair few drivers in the series and take a cone along with him in the race. So really, really good save there from Martin.
Yeah.
But taking the witch's hat for a bit of a drive tonight.
Yeah. No, so next year, if ANZCAR continues to run the trucks and the Thunder, we'll have trucks on Monday night with ANZCAR, Thunder Series on Wednesday night with ANZCAR, then Thursday night, of course, the Cup car race itself, and the ANZCAR Cup. Then Friday night we'll have the Wheeling Tour, which will do usually. At this stage, it's looking like the SK modified. Then Saturday night, of course, the Weekend Warriors, and then the big news is that the 87s Masters will go to a standalone championship on a Sunday afternoon.
That is exciting news indeed, and if you've never got a chance to drive the 87s, they are well worth a go. They are some of the most fun cars in iRacing, and driving on an oval, they are just fantastic stuff. So that is brilliant news to hear, and look, it's what we love to hear, and what we love in the community is seeing it going from strength to strength. Meanwhile, Norman Clark is on a bit of a charge right now, putting pressure on Michael Skurlock at the moment with the beautiful purple rims of Paul Jackson just behind him. Paul Jackson running those beautiful purple rims that Mr. Mike Johansson loves so much. His favourite colour of rim choice, apparently, as the caution car flag comes out.
Oh,
Was that involving
Steve
Dave?
Williams?
Stevie Dubb, I think.
Dubs is
So,
involved?
so Stevie Dubb's lost the car.
Let's have a look here.
So Stevie Dubb has lost the car. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Oh,
Stevie
right.
Dubb
Yeah, so
losing the
Steve,
car. Oh,
what corner
He's
is that?
got
Is
a
that?
turn
lane
one,
one.
turn 1 and 2. He's tried to get in underneath Brad, but it looks like he's just got down too low, and the rear end stepping out yet again.
I think he did that earlier in the race too, isn't it? Pretty much the
Yeah,
same spot.
very similar to his early mistake in the race, and
Pretty
it's
much.
not often you see a mistake from Stevie Dubb, and not often you
No.
see it twice in a race. So everybody coming into pit lane.
So let's jump into the pit lane and have a look.
He's done well to keep that down there on that apron and not speed back out onto the racing surface.
Yeah, he's done the right thing and just locked it down rather than fire up the track into traffic.
So into pit lane they come once more. Who is going to win the race off of pit road? Who is going to try and take all four tyres? Is anybody going to take a gamble and only take two? We'll soon find out as they come out of pit lane. I think Norman Clark might have taken just the two tyres. Just going to go back and have a little bit of a look at Norm.
Just have a look at the pit stop times and have a bit of a comparison.
Yeah, Norman Clark taken right onlys. So Norman Clark was the only driver I can see that has done the rights only. Dave Douglas as well. So
I was going to say Dave's only did a stop of 9.4, so it looks like he may have only taken the right.
No, he just pays his pit crew well. But yeah, that's just the extra money that he slips the pit crew. So Dave Douglas just taking the two right side tyres as well. So a couple of people taking the gamble out there, and will it pay off? 16 laps remaining here tonight for the Cup Series, and that's going to be an interesting one to see. New paint job for Dave Douglas as well, I noticed, since I last was here. So nice to see.
That's a fresh one tonight, because
It
he was
is.
definitely in the black car last week.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was pretty sure I've not seen it out there before. So nice fresh paint job for Mr. Douglas. So nice to see. It's looking. He's obviously decided to wipe down the car at last, because it's always been a white car. It's just usually very dirty. So he's actually cleaned it off for once, and now you can see the fact that it's actually a white car. Give it a couple of races, and it'll be back to black.
I did notice the Godfather paint from Mr. Foster hasn't reappeared this week.
No, he's given it a rest, unfortunately. I thought it was a pretty cool paint, but you might think it's a bit cursed. As we see the wave around cars going now, which Foster is one of those
I
in
was just
position
going to say
22.
that's something that you don't see very, very often. Is that 53 getting the wave around?
And Jamie Nankervis getting his lap back as well. Of course, he lost a lap sliding down pit road, but he didn't actually stop for tyres. He only just traversed pit lane, so he will still be out there on all tyres at the end of the lead lap.
Yeah. I was about to say, did Jamie come in that caution? But no, he didn't. He stayed out there.
No,
So
he stayed out so he could get his lap back, which is smart because he might as well sit at the back there. If there's another quick caution, he can duck in, he'd get fresh tyres, and then he'll be away.
as the pace car will come crawling into pit lane and get ready for the Geico restart zone. Of course, the Gecko endorsed restart zone. Away Dyson goes, gets a beautiful restart. Neil Pearson absolutely on his tail. A fantastic job by DPR. And look at Dave Douglas trying to get the inside. But remember, he has got fresh tyres on the right side, not on the left side. So he is on some unbalanced tyres, and that can catch you out a little bit on the restart. And that is exactly what's happened. And it's just not quite working for him at the moment. Norman Clark gets turned. Norman Clark goes around on a huge accident in the background. It is going to be a caution flag as Norman Clark gets caught in the back by, I didn't quite see who it was. I think it might have been Darren Lobb there. Darren Lobb just into the back of Norman Clark. The two South Africans making contact. And that is that. And a huge hit into Lobb, into Allison, up into Maloney. Gary Wellman caught in that, as well as Stevie Dubb. And Michael Scullock, I think, just sneaked his way through that one. So they just about snuck his way through. But you can see the impact here. He just goes round, and nothing you can do in a situation like that. The car going backwards in that way. Nothing you can do there. You're just a passenger.
Yeah. Not great there. That's for sure.
No, he just gets caught on the outside and gets tapped. And so this is the Norman on those fresh and old tyres. So he had the fresh rights, but the old lefts maybe just cost him a little bit of speed out of the corner, a little bit of traction. And Darren Lobb's just gone into the back of him, just caught the rear of him. So a little bit of a rookie error there, and just catches him, unfortunately. And then a lot of other cars get caught up in that one. So that is a big, big accident. And this works out perfectly for the man we were just talking about, Damien Ankervis.
Yeah. Imagine he can duck in and grab some fresh tyres. Let's have a look here. Just kind of have a bit of a look at some of the other drivers and how they fared. Just having a look at the 34 in the background there.
So yeah, unfortunately, you see it. Norman's just sort of bounced back, and you hold on to the brakes, but going backwards like that, the car just does not want to do anything, and it's a situation that is just never going to work for you, unfortunately, and that was a big shame.
Just being able to grab hold of Brad Allison, who was involved in that last accident there. Got a copy there, Brad?
I certainly do, gentlemen. Good evening. Wish it was under better circumstances.
Yeah, definitely not a way you want to end the race. Are you out, or are you going to be able to get repaired and get back out to get some more points, or is that done?
No, I think she's done. I think the axle broke when I got spun around. I'm just looking at a replay on my screen now to actually see what happened. So it looks like the car's got me straight into rear wheel, and it's just broken the axle instantly. So yeah, there we go.
Definitely not a way to end the night, mate. You've been having some bad luck, but you've had a few good races too. There's always next week, I guess, for you.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit sick of saying that. You know, there's always next week. It'd be nice to have a finish. I think I earned, and I think I was a good run tonight. I was pretty comfortable.
Well, you had some really good. Sorry, Mark.
You're right. Yeah.
You had some really good pace out there, Brad. We saw you battling away pretty much all night long up in the top 10. So, it's kind of disheartening when again something that's completely not your fault, you're just getting caught up in somebody else's accident. It can be very disheartening when that kind of thing happens.
It can, Carl, but it's worth it just to talk to you. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Brad. Look, I'd rather talk to you at the end of the race when you got yourself a win.
Yeah, all good, guys. All right, I'll
Uh,
let you get back to the action, fellas. Thanks a lot.
All right, mate. Thanks for your time, and good luck next week, eh?
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
It can't get much worse next week. Hopefully, you know, I think one of my favourite things was one of the Foster brothers. I think it may have been James actually, Ed's brother, said, you know, the best time to get out of a race is at the start of the race because then at least you can just get on with the rest of your day. It's the worst when you actually have an accident and get taken out with a couple of laps to go because that's when it really hurts. But the pace car pulls into pit lane and away Dyson goes, gets another good restart, gets away nicely this time. Jaden Russell gets a much better restart on the low line this time. Russell is going to try his best on the inside on Pearson. He's really looking to make the pass, looking to make this one work and get done. He's pushing up on the inside at the moment, holding up tight to the back of Dyson, doing a really good job at the moment. It is Pearson and Russell side by side. Watch out for Dave Douglas behind him. Remember, he's on those slightly worn left side tyres, fresh right side tyres, and that catches him out a little bit as Barry gets a big snap of oversteer as well on the exit of the corner. Cars are struggling on this restart as the tyres are coming up to temperature, of course. They've got to be careful not to get involved in too many accidents, and this is where it can happen. The last dash to the line. We've got 8 laps remaining here for New Hampshire, round number 19 of the ANZCAR Cup.
Yeah, it's a good restart there. It's pretty competitive, all the cars, but everyone's giving everyone quite a bit of room, which is good to see. Let's look, he's looking to pass Dave Douglas there for 5th spot. Looks like those right side tyres only is not really working out for Dave, unfortunately, but it was a good gamble to take.
It was definitely worth a try because if it had paid off, they would have had a great benefit from him. Probably a track where with a little bit more banking would have probably been a better option there for the right sides only.
Yeah, that can be an absolute issue on a slightly flatter track as Micklemore and Douglas make a little bit of contact in the background there.
Sort of settled down at the front there as well. About 0.3 of a second between everybody. We'll check out the top 15 so everyone can keep an eye on the times there.
I'll tell you what, that's not bad for Mr. Dean Curvis. From being a lap down up into 14.
Oh, Dave's a bit sideways there. Oh, he catches it. Good save. Oh, he's still sideways, He's going to lose a ton of spots because he has to get out of the throttle a lot.
He's fallen all the way down, and that gamble has not paid off, unfortunately, with those right side tyre only cars. One of them is almost out the race, and the other one is tumbling down the order. So definitely did not pay off. But that's the thing with gambling, is it either works or it doesn't. And this time it very much didn't.
It actually looks like it's hindering them.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. He's dropped down to 14th for now.
As Michael Skurlock's looking to make a move on Josh Micklemore right now. Skurley pressing the moustache all up against the rear side of Josh Micklemore, and he is really pressing hard. And then just behind them is Daniel Heddershide, the man that we thought was out of this race. He is working his way back up into 8th position. So a good comeback from him after that big accident with Hobson and Foster. So he's had a good comeback. I'm sure he won't be happy with himself, but still a good return. Oh, Skurlock gets a big snap there, and he's going to lose a whole heap of places. Skurley absolutely loses the rear end there and just drops back into the grasps of Ruben Phelps, now possibly Gary Wellman up into P10 as well. It's been an interesting night for Wellman. He's definitely had an adventure tonight. He's been everywhere.
Yeah, he's been up and down, hasn't he?
Yep, he sure has. He's had an eventful night, that's for sure, but he's doing pretty good. And just seeing if he can hold on to a top 10. Oh,
I think
great.
Gary.
My graphics
I
not
think
even
Gary.
showing properly for him. Oh
Oh,
well.
I think Gary's been in every single spot there is possible tonight in this race. He's been a lap down. He's been in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's been in the wrong place at the safety car. He had to pit under green. He's had everything happen to him tonight, and it's been a great recovery drive for him. He's up 10 spots as well from his starting position. So one of the highest gainers, same as Josh Micklemore at the moment. Those two currently the biggest gainers of the race at the moment.
He
But
would
up at
have
the front,
also.
it
He
is
would have.
Andrew Dyson under pressure from Jaden Russell, but only a few moments of this race to go as the checkered flag will be coming out shortly. Can Jaden Russell do a last minute lunge? I don't think so. I think it is going to be the 41 of Andrew Dyson and DPR taking the win tonight, just ahead of Jaden Russell in the Synergy car, with Neil Pearson coming home in third.
Yeah, good finish there. Just see the rest of the cars come over the finish line.
Biggest gainer of the night was Mr. Purple Rims himself, Paul Jackson. 14 positions gained tonight. Good run from Paul Jackson. He worked his way up nicely through the field from 25th to 11th. That is a really good run from him. So nicely done from himself. Gary Wellman dropped down a few spots, I think, from his initial position. So yeah, Wellman had a big moment. There was a big accident actually on the final lap. So on lap 150, there's a big moment for Wellman. He lost the rear end of the car into the corner, and then as the white flag fell, so he's lost the rear end, and then that's caused CV Dub to have a sympathy spin, caught the car, and then gone up into poor Nankervis. Jamie Nankervis gets speared in the side, and then the rest of the cars just sneak through, but they come out on the. Of course, it happened under the white flag, so no caution there. But that dropped Gary Wellman down to 15th in the end. So it has been a very eventful night for that man. It is everything's happened to him, I think.
We put the mockers on him right at the end by talking him up. How good a night he'd been having.
Same with Jamie, I think. Poor Dan Gervis.
Yeah. We have to own that 100%.
Almost didn't catch that one, but it has been a masterclass tonight from Andrew Dyson from start to finish, leading almost every single lap tonight and taking the victory here at New Hampshire for the 24/7 Sim Services ANZCAR Cup race. Another great drive from Andrew Dyson. Jaden Russell having a good run out there as well in P2. Really strong finish for himself, gaining set of seven positions himself, and Neil Pearson another strong finish from himself as well. So the DPR cars coming back into form. Barry Neal in fourth, with Luke Trahere coming home a strong strong fifth position, making 8 spots overall. Josh Micklemore coming home in sixth. He won't be too happy with that, but he won't be too disappointed either. 10 positions gained in the race. Daniel Hederscheid had a really good recovery, getting home in seventh. Eighth for Michael Skurlock, despite that big moment. Ruben Phelps comes home in ninth position, with Jason Martin rounding out the top 10 in 10th spot. Then we roll over, and it's Paul Jackson, the biggest gainer of the night, 14 spots gained for him. Dave Douglas in 12th position. He'll be a bit frustrated with the finish of that race. That gamble did not pay off, but he didn't lose as many positions as we expected. Tristan Koch, another solid run in the top 20, up in the 13th position for himself. A good season for Tristan. Norman Clark came home in 14th despite that big accident. Gary Wellman in 15th position, the man that had been in every spot in this race. Maddie Ray in 16th tonight, a unusually quiet race for Maddie Raymond. Stevie Dubb in 17th position after a couple of errors tonight, a strange one from him. Another driver that we wouldn't usually see having very clean races, but just getting caught out here at the tricky, very hot New Hampshire racetrack. Jamie Anker's 18th. Foster coming home in 19th at the end of that race. So he did make up a fair few spots. So it just shows going out and just carrying on a little bit can pay off a little bit. He managed to make it inside the top 20 with Darren Lobb in 20th position. Then we roll over and it's Brad Allison 21st, Malone in 22nd, Hobson unfortunately 23rd with Dortnack 24th, Noddy Tompkins 25th, 25th and 26th of Aidan Schultz. And that is the runners for the Cup race tonight. So what we will do is we will grab up our third place driver, the driver of the red flavour of DPR car, Mr. Neil Pearson, up into the booth. Neil Pearson, congratulations on another podium finish here at New Hampshire and in the ANZCAR Cup.
Thanks, Carl.
A great drive tonight. It was not the easiest of races out there. You had to battle your way through a lot of cars tonight, and you were pretty much constantly battling all the race long.
It wasn't the best race. I struggled that first stint. I was horrible. I think I just destroyed the tires at the start, and then so I really had to learn how to drive the car. And in the second stint, I worked out if I could do a certain fuel number, I would have made it home without stopping. So I was just driving to a number there, and sadly, caution came out and ruined that because I think I might have had the win there. But it's good that Daiso won.
Yeah, we saw that you dropped off a bit in that second stint, so that explains that one. Because I sort of noticed that you dropped down a little bit, and sort of pace-wise, we're not quite there, but fuel saving certainly explains it, because we didn't expect anybody to be able to make it to the end from there. So interesting to hear your strategy call, and it's a shame that caution did come out, because it sort of cost us an interesting race, I think.
Yeah, it was going to be very tight, like pretty much like 0 liters as I crossed the line. Um, so and sometimes I was going up into the 1 liter over, and so then I'd have to save a bit more. But I think I was actually lifting halfway down the back straight and the main straight at one stage.
Oh, look, as long as there's 0 liters as you cross the line, that's all you need. You
That's
don't need it as
exactly
after
right.
the line.
Exactly right.
A solid couple of weeks for yourself. It's been a good sort of a good second half of the season for yourself.
Yeah, it's been good. I've had a good couple of races the last few, so I'm just crawling my way back up in that point standings, which is good. And then when the drop rounds come through, it's gonna shake everything up.
As it always does. Look, congratulations tonight on P3, and congratulations to the team as well. We'll of course speak to the orange flavoured DPR car in a short time. But before we do, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors or anyone you'd like to say hello to tonight.
Just the usual. You guys, the broadcast, ANZCAR for the series. Trying to find my interview helper sheet. Yeah, just simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, NP Designs, and just the guys for all the support and everything. It was a pretty tough race for me. I really had to relearn how to drive the car halfway through the race, and I think I got there on long run pace at the end, but not on short run.
Congratulations tonight, Neil. I'm sure we'll catch you back in the booth soon.
Hopefully.
Neil Pearson there for DPR, third place tonight. Next up, we will grab up for Synergy Sim Racing, Mr. Jaden Russell, the number 28 car of Jaden Russell. Congratulations on a very strong P2 tonight, Jaden. We saw you battling your way through the field tonight. It was not the easiest of races out there. You had to fight for that one.
Yeah, it was a bit of a difficult race there. Everyone was struggling with the way the car was handling it. It's a bit of a handful, but we made it in the end, so it was good. It's good, clean racing.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, we saw you having some really good fights throughout the field and sort of pushing your way through and getting up into those spots nicely and positioning the car just in that right spot at the right time. And you seem to be able to just run that slightly higher line a little bit easier than some of the other drivers.
Yeah, the first start, I just played the waiting game. I didn't know how to race that track at all in this car, so I waited, watched how the faster guys were doing it, and sort of just copied their line. That's sort of made up a bit of time on tyres through that half, and then on the second one, I made a bit of a push to see where I could get to.
Well, it certainly paid off for you. At the end there, it looked like you almost had enough to just about catch Dyson. We saw you making a couple of little, almost trial lunges. Do you think you may have had something for him at the end there, or was it just a little bit was it just a little bit of just hoping and praying?
Oh, I had the pace there, but he would have had it in the tank. It was just easy for him to defend, not make a mistake, and make it really hard for me to get past him. So I was trying everything I could to try and get by him, but it wasn't going to happen. He played it as well as he could, and yeah, got away with the win.
Look, at least you gave it a try. That's the main thing. Look, really good race tonight. Another strong finish for yourself. It's been a strong season for you and for Synergy as well. Obviously, you guys have been having a stellar run yourself and, of course, your teammate, obviously Hobson. Bit unfortunate tonight, but you've been coming on leaps and bounds on the old oval stuff, and it really you sort of the short tracks. You sort of have that. You seem to have that knack on still.
Yeah, I don't like driving them, but I've got some pace around the shorter tracks, so I have to turn up for them. It's the ones I sort of get decent results at. I like the bigger tracks, like the half-mile stuff, but I just can't seem to get a result around them.
It's always the way. It's always the tracks that you don't like. You tend to do well at, and you're just like, damn it, I want to actually race some tracks that I enjoy. No, look, congratulations tonight on a very strong P2. Starting at ninth, coming home in second here at New Hampshire is not an easy thing to do, and a lot of that was done through on-track passing as well. So congratulations tonight on a solid P2 finish. The usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors and people and everybody out there.
Yeah, obviously just everyone at Synergy, our sponsors, Wave Runner, the major sponsor this season, and yeah, Hobbo, Mitch, and I've had a blank here. Yeah, everyone that turns up and races anyway.
All the boys that come, that's it, the usual things.
Yeah, shout out to the boys.
No, thank you so much, J. Russ. Congratulations on a solid PT finish tonight. Good, solid result, and hopefully we'll see you back at the booth soon.
Hopefully, thanks, mate.
And finally, we will grab up the orange flavour of DPR car. The man that is really having a great run at the moment, Mr. Andrew Dyson. Dyso, welcome back to the booth and congratulations on a extremely solid victory.
Thanks, mate. Good to be back.
Oh, look, it's always nice to have you up in the booth. A solid run for you tonight. You had some serious pace out there.
Yeah, a lot of other guys were pretty fast as well, though. No doubt about that. I mean, we saw Jaden at the end there, Hobbo at the start, a few other guys during the middle of the race. I think it might have been Luke. He was getting on with it for a bit there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a runaway victory, but you sort of you just had that nice little bit of buffer through the night, other than of course after the restarts. But you just seem to be running a really nice solid line and just able to keep that car steady tonight.
Yeah. There was a few times I had a nice little buffer that certainly helped. So I could run my own line and do my own things, experiment and stuff like that. Especially in the second, or well, after the first stint, I probably was wobbling a little bit, so I had to work out what I was doing wrong and tried a few different things. In the second two stints, I worked it out. Managed to have a little bit better pace in the long runs, and yeah, that little gap that I was able to have every now and then to just give myself a bit of breathing room to experiment helped a lot.
Absolutely, and we saw on the restarts as well. You just had some absolute solid restarts. The restart zones. How different are you finding them?
To be honest, I thought it would be a lot closer. The starts, it definitely is because everyone goes on green, and everyone knows when it's going to be because everyone can see where the leaders are. So you got a bit of an idea of where it's going to go green. I think for the rest of the restarts, it's pretty much the same as it used to be. But the good thing is you can't catch people out by sort of accelerating in that last sort of quarter of the last corner and really accelerate away. And that's when you leave everyone struggling to get traction, as they're still turning. But yeah, that's all gone now. I can't do that, so it's good.
No, it's good to see. Look, a fantastic drive from yourself. I just want to ask as well quickly, it was a very hot track temperature out there tonight as well, up in the 44, 45 degrees Celsius mark. Did you find that the rears were starting to drop off quite a bit in the early stages of the race from that track temp?
In the early stages of the race, yeah, but I think my driving might have had a little bit to do with it as well. I wasn't really looking after the rear as much as I should have been. And a few of the other guys in the chat, in the team said they were, like Neil and Lobo and Steve, they all said the same thing, and I think they were noticing the same thing with a lot of other cars around them as well.
Yeah, it definitely looks a bit. You made it look relatively easy, but it definitely was not easy out there tonight. Congratulations on a fantastic drive and another solid win from yourself tonight. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
No worries. Thanks, man. Well, thanks for coming back, Wilco. Or Wilkinson. Good to see you back in here. I don't know if I can call you Wilco because there's too many Wilcos, isn't there?
There's too many Wilcos.
Too many Wilcos.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I was call you Carly, mate.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks to all the guys at ANZCAR who put the show on, and the broadcast, all the races throughout the week. We really enjoy it, getting around it and getting amongst it, and rubbing panels and all the rest of it. Thanks to South Wellers and Hoist, Benmax Mechanical, BetSmart Racing Services. Oh, actually, they don't sponsor us anymore, but we still love those guys anyway. And MP Designs, and gee, I don't even know if I've gone through them all, but doesn't matter. They're all on the car, and they're doing us a good one. So love your work. And
maybe we'll attract some new sponsors by just mentioning random people.
yeah,
So,
I'll just say, shout out to, I don't know, all the, yeah, I don't want to be rude, so I won't. But yeah, looking forward to next week.
At Brewery.
Pop Ales, big shout out to Pop Ales, best can you can get around.
Yeah, exactly. Try and get us some free beer. That's more than welcome.
Oh, yeah.
No, cheers, Daiso. Look, congratulations on the win tonight. Another solid drive, and hopefully we'll catch you back in the booth very soon. Obviously, we're off to Pocono next week. Very different challenge.
Yeah, definitely. We raced there not long ago in Weekend Warriors, and just as I suspected, big long straights, a lot of drafting, really close racing. Not quite pack racing like I expected. Not quite pack racing like Atlanta last week, but yeah, very close racing there, definitely.
No, congratulations. Look forward to seeing you soon. Hopefully, we'll catch you back in the booth for Pocono.
Cheers, lads. Fingers crossed. See you later.
Andrew Dyson there for DPR, taking out the win tonight here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So, Mark, your thoughts on that race?
I thought there would have been a few more cautions, so I'm very surprised there that there wasn't. Great race win by Daiso. Like those restarts that he got, every single one of them was just an absolute blinder of a restart. And yeah, it's just a credit to the guys getting around here with 3 cautions for the night.
Yeah, really good job. And Matt, obviously yourself, it was a good race and just clean racing out there as well. We saw a little bit of rubbing, but it was a lot of clean stuff too.
Yeah, it was good to see the patience. I know that we kind of struggled a little bit with the Fun Series when we were here because the line that the guys run sort of invites cars to sort of dive bomb on the inside, and that was leading to cautions. But yeah, with these guys here, we're pretty good, and that wasn't really happening. They were giving room.
It was great to see, absolutely. So, look, a big thank you to Mark Johansson and Mr. Matt Hunter on the cameras, and Mark for joining us up in the booth and helping out. It's an absolute pleasure to have you guys up here, and a big thank you for all the help you've been giving in my slight absences. But we will be back for the Cup at Pocono next week, so we hope that you can all join us there for that one. Of course, we also have Thunder on next week as well on the Wednesday night. Matt, whereabouts is that one?
Indy Oval this week. Put me on the spot. Trying to think. Indy Oval this week. So yeah, that'll be live on the Locked On iRacing YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. I think they do as well. But yeah. Locked On iRacing. If you Google search for them, you'll see their podcast and their broadcast.
All the details there, and of course, a big thank you to Mark as well from Weekend Warriors as well. You guys are off on the weekend.
We're back here. I think we're back here on Performance Eve on Saturday night for the first round of our Triple Crown at Nashville.
Nashville, that is exciting. Nashville, always an interesting place. So hopefully we will see some of you out there for that, and look forward to catching you all next week. So big thank you to everybody for watching. Big thank you to everybody for joining us tonight, and of course, a big thank you to everybody for helping out behind the scenes as well. And we will see you all next week.